but I am.
Do you want a drink? Yeah, I was just mine.
It kind of reminds me of the Woodwose. Oh, is that part of it?
So, which one's next?
Well, see, there's an oak over there. Oh, it's a giant. Yeah, but it shouldn't be too much trouble getting it down.
Yeah. Let's have a rest first, though.
What? Got it! Get the weapon!
Don't let it go!
Earth, stones, roots, moss, lichen, mushrooms, toadstools, grass, cowslip, violet, sedge, bluebells, wooden enemy, celandine, nettles, dog rose, holly, bramble, bracken, blackthorn, hawthorn, elder, buckthorn, willow, hazel, elder, ivy, crabapple, pear, walnut, cherry, rowan, beech, field maple, pine, cedar, hornbeam, poplar, lime, sycamore, elm, ash, mistletoe, chestnut,
Silver birch, aspen, oak!
no more.
You have done enough. You chop, cut, saw, hack, burn, and it hurts. That feels like this. And that feels like this.
How?
Who am I? I am...
A Woodwose.
What?
A Woodwose. A guardian of the woods.
How do you know?
You can tell by her smell. And the way the hair grows thick on her back and silky on her toes.
Toes!
What on earth?
Woodwose can live for hundreds of years. And they're rare. So rare that you might never meet another. What's happening?
I don't know. Let's go.
Not yet! There are some things you need to know. These woods are my home. I've lived here peacefully all my long, long life. I leave humans alone. But I've seen what you've done. I know what you can do. You think you can just carry on and that nothing can stop you.
And you can.
Maybe. We'll see. Let's start with some shape-shifting.
Shape-shifting.
Turning into other animals, creatures, insects, or birds.
How?
Picture the creature from nose to tail. Feel the texture of their fur, their skin. Imagine you can climb inside them.
I don't want to.
Sink into their minds. Flex your claws, tail and wings. Wear their scent.
I want.
See the woodland through their eyes.
I want to eat a worm.
In.
Acorns! I must find acorns!
You humans are so bad at shape-shifting. Still, if you can see what it's like to be a beetle, a moth, a weasel, a slug. If only you could stay a slug. You could learn so much. It's time you learned more. It began with a tree. Leaves, earth, bark. On a wild, stormy day. I was found at the foot of a tree by an old Woodwose. He brushed off the leaves and warmed me with the heat of his hairy body. He smelt of earth and wet bark. He was older than the oldest tree, but he looked after me. You did, didn't you?
Me?
Well, you are old Woodwose now.
No. No. Ah. Well, that's right. I taught you how to survive, how to forage and fight, how to carve and swing a club. Watch carefully. I taught you how to hide and spy on the other creatures, about the wildlife, the dryads and the sprites.
What?
You'll see.
I taught you how to avoid the wanderers, thieves, madmen and murderers that pass through. Look, ramshackle bunch of ne'er-do-wells if ever I saw one.
And you taught me how to shapeshift.
You were a quick learner, and once you knew there was no catching you.
There I was, leaping from branch to branch, or slinking between the trees, or running with the herd, white tail flashing. It was easy. I loved to lie in a nest of dormice, curled in our tails, listening to the snuffle of our breath. Or stand on the water as a pond skater, the liquid taut and quivering beneath my feet. Or flitter through the night as a pipistrel bat, twisting this way and that, using sound to see. It made me feel so free. I could be anything.
Except a wyvern.
I wouldn't want to be one. Too terrible, too horrible.
What's a wyvern?
A vicious beast with wings, tail and a venomous bite. Just one touch of its teeth can kill.
Like a dragon. There's no such thing.
You humans think you know everything. Old Woodwose knew about the wyvern.
Its eyes are dim, its hearing poor, and its brain is very, very small. If you meet one, stand perfectly still, and that might not even know you're there. Pretend to be a tree. Calm your heart and slow your breathing. If that sniffs at you, don't be scared. That's got no sense of smell. That's got no sense at all.
It's true. Stupid but cruel. So cruel. Oh, old Woodwose, I'll never forget what it did to you.
Night. Walking home from the clearing, and a canopy stirs above us.
We think it's the wild hunt riding through, the ghost hounds baying for blood. So we wait for the spectre to pass.
But the leaves are buffeted by wings, and the wyvern lands beside us!
By moonlight, I see a beast with 2 strong legs and a long barbed tail. I hold still as it sniffs around my feet and huffs its fetid breath in my face. I don't blink, don't breathe. I imagine I am a tree.
After a while, it stalks away.
I think we're safe. But it returns, baring its teeth, nearer and nearer and nearer. I can see each oily scale, the spikes on its snout as it opens its jaws. Run! I run! Limbs heavy, lungs hurting, heart thumping all the way to our hollow tree. As I hide inside, I hear. Then something comes thundering through the woods, nearer and nearer and nearer. Ah! Old Woodwose, what happened?
I swung my club and sent the wyvern reeling into a copse. It came back. Again, I hit it, and it fell. So I ran. It flew through the trees behind me, above me, gnashing at the air beside my ears. As I got to the oak that swooped low,
But you escaped? There, through the hair are deep red welts.
Tooth marks.
I brewed ash bark for him to drink. I didn't know what else to do. As night wore on, he grew feverish, delirious. Just before dawn, he grew quiet.
Take care of the woods for me.
As I slept, he shape-shifted into dust. Wind blew the dust through the leaf litter. Rain took it deep into the earth. Alone, I spoke and waited for his reply. Thought I saw him from the corner of my eye. I felt as though he were by my side in every bird and rabbit, every fox and badger, every owl and hare. I stared at the ground, the trees and the sky beyond, and wondered where he'd gone. Anywhere, everywhere, nowhere. That night I couldn't sleep, so I went to the clearing. The sprites danced. The dryads laughed. And their revelry seemed odd to me. Old Woodwose is dead. The weeping dryads weep. A sprite bought me a drink. And another, and another. And when the music began again, I found myself amongst them.
Sprunky,
Spinny,
Cramble,
battling,
Nubbin,
Roxy,
Rammel,
Rundle,
Daddock,
Tundi,
Tingle,
Rattlings,
Skocker,
Popsy,
Wriggles,
Stumble,
Sprunky,
Spinny,
Cramble,
battling,
Nubbin,
Roxy,
Rammel,
Rundle,
Daddock,
Tundi,
Tingle,
Rattlings,
Skocker,
Popsy,
Wriggles,
Dumble! Sing out and dash and thorn guitars all on a midsummer's morn. Surely we'll sing of no little thing in oak and ash and thorn. Sing oak and ash and thorn guitars all on a midsummer's morn. Surely we'll sing of no little thing in oak and ash and thorn. Sing oak and ash and thorn guitars all on a midsummer's morn. Rocky, Spinny, Rattlings!
through wind and rain and raging storms, I danced away my grief. I no longer saw mornings. Usually I was dreaming, snoring, waking only at dusk. But one morning, I heard a thud. It seemed to cleave my head. A loud, methodical thud on wood. It shook the roots, it shook the mud, and each clod cracked. Outside the oak, a man swung an axe into a trunk. And a poor old tree came down.
Trim the trunk, trim the trunk, saw the tree into chunks, and move on to the next.
The man's skin was acorn brown and smooth as the bark of a beech. The hair beneath his hat was the colour of a new conker. I admired the way he stood, so solid, firm and determined, as though he were made of wood. I watched him. While the other woodcutters came and went, taking only what they needed, he seemed greedy, keen to take my larger trees. He even eyed up my oak. So, when he raised his axe again, I could sense his hackles prickle. That did it. But the very next day, the woodcutter comes striding back and begins to fell trees again.
Trim the trunk, trim the trunk, saw the tree into chunks, and move on to the next. Stay back!
I could see fear in his eyes.
I'll kill you!
Ha! He'd try.
I will, I'll kill you!
I don't want to fight. I sit in a thicket and think. I decide to try something I've never tried before. I think about the man and his kind. The women who collect kindling on the edge of the forest. I picture them from nose to feet. Feel the smoothness of their skin, the softness of their hair. Imagine I can climb inside them. Enter their minds, think their thoughts, flex their fingers, move their limbs, wear their scent. See the woodland through their eyes. In, until I am one of them. Now, as I approach him, wearing only dappled sunlight, I see a new look in his eyes. A kind of fire in his gaze, as though he blazes inside.
Where did you come from?
His fingertips are like falling blossom. His breath, the first hot gust of summer. Sawdust and smoke in his scent. His arms, two strong boughs around me. I wind around him like ivy. Wild vine and wood entwined. Enchanted. Each time he came to claim a tree, he found me waiting for him. Shape-shifting between Woodwose and woman became second nature to me. After a while, he forgot about the trees, and we spent long afternoons deep in a leafy nook, tangling our limbs like wayward roots. I loved the way he spent time with me, lie with me, stroke my long head hair, my soft skin.
You are beautiful.
I knew that already. My true beauty lay within. If he'd been a Woodwose, I'd have let him stroke the thick pelt on my back. Feel my silky toes, kiss my hairy ears. But he was a man, with his own idea of beauty, and I suppose I had been lonely. So I changed for him, made my bulky body slim, disguised my scent, hid my club. And he always seemed so pleased to see me. Even when my belly began to swell, I said nothing, and he kept coming back. Then when I grew too tired, too heavy with child to meet him, I laid low, and he returned to his woodcutting. Alone, one stormy afternoon, I felt a surging in my belly. After hours of pain and pushing, an infant lay crying on my bed. As the rain pummeled the tree, I warmed her with my body and stroked the downy hair on her head. Her limbs were bare but strong, and she looked just like her father, apart from her skin. I didn't tell him about her. I was afraid he'd take her away. So when he called, I tucked her up in a nest up in the branches where she'd be safe. When he called, as she slept, I went to meet him. And our days remained the same. following winter, I gave birth to a baby boy. He was small and thin, with bare limbs and bright hazel eyes. I kept him close to keep out the creeping frost. I wasn't sure if he'd survive. But as the ground began to thaw and the leaves unfurled above us, he gained strength and crawled, walked, raced through the forest with his sister. Now, when the woodcutter called, a dryad came to keep them safe. If my girl began to stray, he guided her gently home. And when my children misbehaved, he kept them inside the oak and placed a ring of holly around the trunk. My girl would sulk. Sometimes my boy would cry. Late afternoon. The woodcutter and I are lying in our leafy nook.
What was that?
I point to a buzzard high above us. But he knows.
It was a child.
He follows the sound to the oak. Slowly, slowly, he peers inside. There, crouching at the back in the shadows, are our children.
Get them out. Get them out!
My girl comes blinking into the daylight. My boy stays behind.
Where did they come from?
I can't lie.
No. No. Not mine! They cannot be mine! Their skin is green!
It's true. Both my children had been born with skin as green as moss. In some lights, it was deep fern, and in others, bright moss. Often it changed to suit their moods. When my girl lied, her cheeks would flush the fresh green of spring leaves. When my boy was unwell, he turned a pale shade of sage.
Unnatural. Unearthly! You're their mother. You must have been cursed. Perhaps you should have drowned them at birth. Who are you?
I was your lover.
What are you, a witch?
I'm not falling for it. I know that witches don't exist. I've seen the women ducked and drowned. I know it's a trap. I am a Woodwose, and this is my wood. Gone. He is gone. After that, I spend time with my children. I teach them how to care for the woods.
How to forage and fight. How to carve and swing a club.
And I warn them about the wyvern,
What's a wyvern?
a vicious beast, with wings and tail and venomous bite.
We've never seen it.
Well, it hasn't been seen for many years, but it could return at any time.
I don't believe in it.
To them, it sounded mythical. Often they surprised me. We went to watch the sprites and dryads dance.
Where are they?
There, in the clearing, whirling in circles.
What do they look like?
The dryads are twiggy, with skin like bark. Listen, you can hear them laugh.
And the sprites?
Well, the sprites are light, so light that they fly when they leap. They're almost transparent.
They're invisible to me.
I tried to teach them to shapeshift. I thought they'd find it easy. Picture the animal from nose to tail.
I'm trying.
Like a bird. A snake. Oh. Think like a caterpillar. They stay the same, don't change. They're trapped inside their own green skin. Skin so thin it let in the cold. So I wove a fabric out of nettles, sewed beaten bark with my own strong hair, and made them clothes to keep them warm. Made them more as they grew. And they grew fast, as humans do. They were curious. My boy searched for spotted fly catchers, tree creepers.
Chiff-chaffs and siskins, badgers and slow worms, adders and pine martins.
Well, my girl, what are you doing?
Nothing?
Are you spying on the people again?
No? But why do they cut down trees? Why do they kill animals? Why do they hang men from branches?
I don't know. Every year, when creatures curl up and sleep, my boy lay on his bed, his cough loud and rough in the hollow oak. I gathered rose hips and brewed a tonic to make him well. I sat with him and stroked his hair, while my girl ran wild. Once I caught her staring out across the heath towards the village.
Does that man live over there?
What man?
The man who came to our tree.
Your father. I wish I hadn't said it.
He was my father.
Yes.
Oh, can we go and see him?
No!
Why not?
It's dangerous out there. Man can be cruel. You might get caught. Summer.
It was pleasant and delightful on a midsummer's morn, when the green fields and the meadows were covered in corn, and the blackbirds and thrushes sang on every green spray, and the larks they sang melodious at the dawning of the day. And the larks they sang melodious, and the larks they sang melodious, and the larks they sang melodious at the dawning of the day.
For the first time ever, I am ill. Poisoned by a mushroom. I lay in the oak for days.
We're going out to play.
Well, don't go far. Listen out for the wyvern and stick together. Each evening, they return to me. Woo-hoo-hoo. Woo-hoo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
Here, treasures of feathers, rock stones, bones.
And herbs to make you better.
Thank you. One evening, as the sky turned from pink and orange to deep blue-black, they did not return. I searched for them all night. When the sun rose, I looked for footprints in the earth, or strands of chestnut hair caught on the briars. Found nothing. No sign, no scent, no track, no trace of them. I searched for days and nights, whacking the thickets, shaking the trees, thrashing the ditches, and dredging the murky stink of the dark pond. At last, tired and sick with grief, I collapsed and fell into a deep, deep sleep. I dreamed of a wild and windy night.
Old trees creaked and clung to the earth.
Huddled saplings clacked and clattered.
Dead leaves lifted as though they were possessed.
And disintegrated into the sleet.
And clung and lifted and possessed. Creaked and clung and lifted and possessed.
I heard a sound and rushed outside. There, high above me, are my children, each gripped in the claws of the wyvern. I woke up and rampaged through the woods looking for signs of the beast, but found nothing. In the village, smoke rose like ghosts from the dwellings. It reminded me of a story old Woodwose told me.
Once, the men kidnapped one of our kind, tied him up, took him to a house. A sprite followed and spied on the small low room, watched through a window as the Woodwose grew hotter and hotter by the fire, as the men plied him with drink, bottle after bottle, until one of them cried out,
Tell us our fortunes.
What did he do? What could he say?
"You will grow old and die," he said.
No. Try again.
"You will grow old and die!" That was all he knew. He couldn't lie.
What happened to him?
The men got a knife and fed his body to the fire. The sprite was frightened and took flight. It warned us about the men, told us never to trust them, ever. You must never leave the woods.
The day after my dream, I do. I shapeshift into a woman and set off down the path to find my children. The gorse scratches my skin and draws blood. How thin human skin is. How fine and light the bones. How fragile the eyes and white the teeth. And How naked do I feel out on the heath. I arrive at the village and walk down the street. After the sandy path, the stones feel sharp. Slowly, slowly, people begin to appear.
Look at her. She's naked.
Then I hear a voice that I recognize.
Don't go near her. She's dangerous.
Dangerous.
No, I mean it. She steals and eats children.
A lie! What a lie! Stones strike and sting me. Tracer! As I reach the wood, I shapeshift and hide up a tree. From the branches, I can see them hunting for me. Only when it grows dark do they leave. Then I limp home. Day after day, they return to hunt me down. They bring dogs, weapons, and beat the bushes to flush me out. I stay hidden, a spider in the hollow, my 8 feet gripping the cobwebs spun across the black ceiling. Eventually, they give up. And I am alone. The leaves turned yellow, orange, brown and bare to green. So green I thought I'd weep, as each new leaf reminded me of my children's skin. Then yellow, orange, deep brown, and the ground is strewn with chestnuts the colour of their hair. I longed for my girl and boy, mourned for them. They were everywhere, everywhere, anywhere,
Anywhere.
nowhere.
Nowhere.
Oh, don't you remember a long time ago? Those 2 little babies, their names I don't know. They strayed away one bright summer's day. Those 2 little babies got lost on their way. Pretty babes in the wood, pretty babes in the wood. Oh, don't you remember those babes in the wood? Years later, as I'm gathering lime tree blossom, a young woman comes striding into the woods. She wears a dress the colour of wild strawberries. It warms her pale skin. She looks as though nothing could scare her, her body firm and determined as she makes her way towards my oak. As is her hair, but I take a long look at her new pink skin. You've changed.
Yes. From green bud to rosy bloom.
But how?
I think it was the food.
Where have you been? What happened to you?
Well, my brother and I left the woods.
Why?
I wanted to find my father.
And did you?
No. We set off across the heath. The sky was so wide. Blue, light, huge. We were spellbound. We spun around until we were dizzy. Crossed a stream, passed through a copse, ran through wildflower meadows and fields of wheat. The crop rushed between our fingers, the cold clay squished beneath our feet. Soon we were lost. We didn't know how to get home. We followed foxes and deer in the hope that they'd know. We thought every woods was ours, every oak tree our own. We walked on and on and on. And then we heard bells. The most beautiful sound. We were so tired we had to lie down. We fell asleep near some wolf pits outside a strange village. When we woke up, people were staring at us. Or they were mystified by our green skin. But they took us in. They fed us beans, gave us soft beds to lie in, clothes to wear. They brushed our tangled hair. It felt good to be warm and clean.
They were kind to you.
Yes, they wanted to know who we were and where we'd come from.
And did you tell them?
No. Once I'd learnt their language, I told them many things.
About me?
No. I made up stories. About distant lands where everything was green and lit by a kind of twilight. About caves and tunnels under the earth and how we'd crawl through them. About attending our flock and losing our way. I could tell them anything and they'd believe me.
Did you miss me?
Of course I did.
And your brother?
He missed you too.
Then where is he?
Every day, he said we should try to find you. But he had a cough and a pain in his chest. Well, go when you're better, he said. But one day, the people dressed us in fine clothes, and they took us to church. They put water on our heads, they blessed us, baptized us. But my brother, he coughed and coughed and coughed. And one day, as I sat at his bedside, he died.
Not my boy. Not my boy with the bright hazel eyes. Not my boy, whose little fists curled in my hair on that fitful night. I feel the chill of that first frost. His little body warming next to mine. Not him. Not him. How long have I already mourned? And now the mourning begins again.
Listen. I don't have long. My brother was buried beside an old yew tree. I was so sad that he'd gone, but the people, they taught me how to read and write. And they gave me a job in a grand house where I cooked and cleaned, and I picked apples in the orchard. And when I could, I'd think of you and wonder where our woods could be.
Stay. Stay here with me.
I can't. The people will come looking for me, and they'll find you too.
But they will hide. Like we used to. They'll never find us.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to go back. I've met a man who says he loves me, and he wants to spend the rest of his life with me.
I thought about her short human life. Her need to love, and to lie with her lover by her side. I understand, I said, and I did. I understood she was leaving me for good. I watch her walk away, slowly, slowly through the wood. Hear the swish of her dress. The leaves stir above her head, and the wyvern lands behind her. It stalks her, creeps nearer. She keeps walking unaware. The wyvern, run! Its claws tug her dress. It tugs her towards her snout. It opens its poisonous jaws. I thunder through the trunks and thump my club down on its barbed tail. The beast reels round and glares at me. I hold my nerve as its venom scorches circles in the earth. One touch of those teeth and I will die. Why should I fear death when my boy has faced it, braved it, and embraced it? I summon all my strength. Imagine I am stronger than a tree. Lightning could strike me then, and I'd survive. I'd fire that bolt back up into the sky. Crash! My club hits the wyvern's head. It collapses. The beast is dead. That night, I went to the clearing. Dance! Dance! And I'll join you.
Sprunky!
Spinny!
Crumble! Buckley!
Nubby!
Droxy!
Rumble!
Rundle!
Dedek!
Tundy!
Pingle!
Bratton!
Skocker!
Copsy!
Griggles!
Jumbo!
Sprunky!
Spinny!
Crumble!
Buckley!
Nubby!
Droxy!
Rumble!
Rundle!
Dedek!
Tundy!
Pingle!
Bratton!
Skocker!
Griggles! Griggles!
Dumbo!
All of a midsummer's morn!
Surely we'll sing of no little thing in oak and ash and thorn. Sing oak and ash and thorn, good sirs, all on a midsummer's morn. Surely we'll sing of no little thing in oak and ash and thorn. Sing oak and ash and thorn.
Oh, I danced away my grief once more. Happy that my girl lived and that I was loved. Come. Come here. Listen. What can you hear?
Nothing.
It's peaceful.
Listen closely.
trees.
Birds.
The wind in the leaves.
My heartbeat.
Us breathing.
The trees are breathing too. Breath by breath and blow by blow, we exchange old air for new. You see that big old oak over there?
Oh, yeah. It's a giant.
That's been home to millions of creatures for hundreds of years. But go ahead. Cut it down.
What?
Cut it down. If you need it, take it. But before you swing that axe or wield that saw, think of all the trees that fall and all the forests that have gone.
Let's leave it.
Yeah, right, mate, yeah. No, we don't need it. So it's all good.
Good. Then let it grow. And when the acorns form and drop, I'll tuck a few into the earth. Or you may think they're self-sown, but I'll know that some were sown by me. And when each seedling begins to grow, I'll help them to become tall trees. As the last Woodwose, it's what I do. For it's up to me to keep the woods deep and green and wild. Who else is going to do it? You? Earth, stones, roots, moss, lichen, mushrooms, toadstools, grass, cowslips, violets, sedge, bluebells, wood anemone, celandine, nettles. Trees grow tall in the heart of the forest, high in the sky, though their roots grow down to the deep dark earth. Trees grow tall in the heart of the forest, high in the sky, though their roots grow down to the deep dark earth. Dogrose, holly, bramble, bracken, blackthorn, hawthorn, alder buckthorn, willow, hazel, elder, ivy, crabapple, pear, walnut, cherry.
It's a rowan.
Beech.
Field maple.
Pine.
Cedar.
Hornbeam.
Poplar.
Lime.
Sycamore.
Elm.
Ash.
Mistletoe.
Chestnuts.
Silver birch.
Aspen. Oak.
Oak.